Kathmandu, the capital metropolis of Nepal, is a booming city despite its problems. The alluring houses, the ever-ceasing movement of expensive imported vehicles, the lavish modern lifestyle of the Kathmandutis give an indication of level of affluence of this medieval city. This is in contrast to the quiet and almost motionless village economy in many parts of Nepal, where poverty and deprivation is pervasive. One wonders, why does this strange dualism persist in Nepal? One further questions on the merits of immense natural beauty, immense diversity, and the existence of enormous resources and potentials of the country, about whether Nepal has to be poor as it is now, with almost half its citizens living below the absolute poverty line. Intriguing questions led support activities for Poor Producer of Nepal, or SAPROS, to undertake a series of studies to explore the roots of the underlying problems. The Sarai option study and the subsequent Hill option study endeavored to track the roots of the problems and concluded in no ambiguous terms that it is the wrong policies and weak institutions that led to the unexpected outcome. The study found that most state policies provided no level playing field for the poor. There were wrong selections of institutions for project execution that gave room for choosing complex and expensive technologies that did not serve the needs of the poor. Billions of rupees invested in the erection of life-supporting infrastructure have thus been wasted. The subsequent visual disposition of the failed infrastructure picturized during the tenure of the two studies speak of a ground reality which stand as the monuments of stupidity for a newer generation to learn about what to do and what not to do in the future. Challanges. This project, located at Kalyanpur BDC of Saptari district in eastern Nepal, was started with the financial assistance of ADB3 Structural Project in 1994 and was inaugurated by former Honorable State Minister for Housing and Physical Planning, late Mirza Dilshad Beg, in 1996. This 17 million rupee project looks glamorous from outside, with expensive overhead tank, elegant pump house, a large compound area, and a large guardhouse, but the only thing lacking is that it does not deliver the service that it is supposed to deliver, the drinking water. The system is now fully non-functional owing to sunk pump in one boring and well failure in another boring. The local people recalled requesting the authorities for a decentralized smaller borings at 4 different locations to serve the same population at 1/4 of the cost, so that even if one system failed temporarily, others will be working. The authorities paid deaf ear to this request, and the consequence is that the local people have to resort back to traditional hand tubers. They, however, are still paying the demand charge for electricity, hoping that the mistake will be corrected and that they will get water from the system someday. Mithua drinking water. This project was established in 1981. It was constructed by the government with the use of the contractor. The project was poorly constructed and the water from the open channel is highly contaminated, leading to the outburst of fatal waterborne diseases, often at epidemic levels. Users are compelled to drink the same contaminated water as they have no other choice. We went to see the stream and asked a woman about the quality of water. He said, "The water is turbid, so I have put a piece of cloth on the faucet of the tap." He also asked the pump operator about the water, and he, in his reply, said, "The villagers who live near the source contaminate the water by cleaning their utensils, washing their clothes, and even letting their animals drink the water from the same open water canal which goes to the intake." One villager narrated the incident of how a monkey struck by a thunderstorm in April 1998 fell into the collection chamber, which was removed only after 3 weeks. Not only this, we often find frogs and snakes in RVT. The guard protecting the system told he himself does not use the water from the system for cooking and drinking. Prithvinagar Drinking Water Supply. The project is located at Prithvinagar Village Development Committee of Thapa District. It is an overhead pumping system with an overhead tank capacity of 450 cubic meters. The project is funded by His Majesty's Government of Nepal, and the system is poorly maintained by DWSO Thapa. The construction took 9 years to complete, beginning from 1988. This delay was due to limited budget allocation each year for the system. The system needed rehabilitation as soon as it was labelled as complete. DWSO's attempt to hand over the project to the Users Committee did not materialize because the users realized that the system was complex and expensive to maintain, unreliable, and it delivered water which is not suitable for drinking and washing clothes. Although DWSO Thapa refused to disclose the cost, the knowledgeable villager put the cost figure at rupees 14 million. There are 105 private tap connections, but none of the private tap owners are using the water for drinking purpose because of its turbidity. One of the users questioned about the sequencing of project execution and said, "It was very surprising why the system was constructed without proper examination of the water quality. All the complaints about the quality of water is ignored by DWSO and it is trying to hand over the failure project to us." The beneficiaries often question each other as to why do they need such a big tank to run a system with 105 taps. This is a gross waste of resource. The DWSO has reported that the construction of the system is complete, but there are no details of the system available, such as number of taps, the total length of the distribution line, the daily supply capacity of the tank, and the total cost of the project. Tulip Hill Drinking Water Scheme. Tulip Hill Drinking Water Supply Scheme is located 30 km east of Kathmandu Valley at Tulip Hill Municipality. This is a gravity flow system in which a Kharkhula originating from a Mahabharat range has been used as a source. The construction of the project started in 1987 and was completed in 1992. It was handed over to the users in 1993. The total beneficiaries in 1987 were 6,840. This system has 803 private connections and 27 public taps. The project was designed and implemented by DWSO with the support of GTZ. The system is technically sound because GTZ and the Users Committee provided elaborate supervision during construction. The system is totally run by the WGC since the handover. The project could have been the best example of an agency-based system had it not incurred very heavy per capita cost. In present value terms, the per capita cost works out to over 17,000 rupees, which is very high compared to the existing norms. Bhairava Lumbini Groundwater Project. DLGWP was started by the government with the loan assistance of the World Bank. The first 2 phases of the project were executed with a supply-driven approach without the users' involvement. This resulted in as many as 12 systems having to be abandoned as these were not required or demanded by the users. The systems were constructed by the agency using the contractor and the consultant. The project was hurriedly handed over to the users after the completion without strengthening the users' institution. Most of the systems erected in the first two phases have not been performing satisfactorily. For example, Suba Samira pump is not in use because the line was brought from Ganasati pump whose transformer was stolen. Another system is just irrigating 19 hectares as against the target of 120 hectares, thus escalating the per hectare cost to as high as rupees 863,000. The pump is only used for 40 hours in a year. There was a delay in the installation of the pumps in the first phase for reasons not revealed. It took about 4 years to install the pump after the completion of the drilling. Most of the users have alternative source of irrigation from the Suraha Mauja surface system. The team asked the users as why they allowed to build another expensive system when they had access to Suraha Mauja irrigation system. The users said, "We have used this free gift as a backup for paddy nursery raising during dry season." Most of the command area of BLGWP has not only access to traditional surface systems, but the low-cost shallow tube wells are also feasible. It is difficult to understand why such expensive and complex system was needed. Even now, there are as many as 10 shallow tube wells within the command area of one system. This symbolizes the unreliability and high operational cost of a deep tube well system. In the third phase, demand-driven approach was followed, but the technology used was not favorable for the land ownership pattern of the users. At least 3 users must use the system at a time, which requires that all 3 users have the same amount of land to be irrigated. The cost per hectare works out to over rupees 120,000 compared to less than rupees 30,000 in the case of shallow tube wells. When the users do not assume ownership, the systems are not properly maintained and used. The transformers of Kanari and Dhamsar are stolen. In Rajad, Moinahia, Bondrusari, Manmateria, Madhubani, Bahata and Ottawa, people are not using the system because it is not affordable for them. The systems in Manamateria and Madhubani are blacklisted as the users could not pay the electricity tariff. This is the situation of a project which was labeled as the best irrigation system in the country. Ganga Irrigation Project. The Ganga irrigation system in Kapil Basti, whose construction started 3 decades ago, was completed about 2 decades ago by the agency. It has a potential command area of 6,200 hectares, which could benefit 13,000 farming households. However, in the last season, this system provided irrigation water for only 1,000 hectares. This is the first, probably the only storage type of irrigation system in the country. From the very beginning, several efforts were made to improve the efficiency of the system. The command area was expanded between 1970 and 1978 at a cost of 22.3 million rupees. This did not succeed, and another project by the name of Command Area Development was applied with a loan and PA assistance of ADB, IFAD and UNDP in 1982. In 1991, U.S. aid provided assistance of $0.5 million for improving irrigation management, which was implemented by International Irrigation Management Institute. All these efforts proved futile as local people have destroyed the structures. The WUC chairman said, "We just demanded bicycles to monitor the canals, but they constructed several buildings." Currently, the government has again introduced an irrigation management transfer project which is being implemented with a loan from ADB, but there is least hope of improvement. Sange-Patiani Surface Irrigation System. Sange-Patiani Irrigation System is situated in Ward number 6 and 8 of the Bias Municipality of Tanahu District. It was constructed by His Majesty's Government of Nepal in 1964. It was designed for irrigating 100 hectares during monsoon and 50 hectares during spring. Although the construction was completed in stipulated time, the quality of construction was very poor. The seepage and leakage from the intake and main canal resulted in the wastage of water. The users of the system demanded for improvement at damaged intake, check dam and main canals. The users again initiated to improve the system in 1989, but after 10 years, His Majesty's Government of Nepal approved the request. The project was rehabilitated and expanded under ILC. The project is now being rehabilitated under NISP. The system was constructed without informing the users in 1983-84 and was completed the same year. Hence, they do not know who planned, designed and appointed the contractor, and eventually the system was poorly constructed. Besides, the present WUC is dominated by the elite who are not committed. The project fails to cover the entire command area due to poor quality construction. The users take least interest in the maintenance of the system due to weak organization. Even in NISP, there has been no coordination with WUC during the implementation of the project. The same contractor that was used in ILC was given the contract in NISP, hence the system has again been poorly rehabilitated. APP Shallow Tube Wells. The Shallow Tube Well program, initiated in 1976, came into planned implementation in the year 1981. In the same year, the government started providing capital subsidies. Shallow tube wells are installed by two main agencies, namely the Department of Irrigation and Agricultural Development Bank. DOI implements the Shallow Tube Well program with loan and grant assistance from various donors, while ADBN provides a loan and technical support. The Agricultural Perspective Plan APP prescribed massive expansion of shallow tube wells in Nepal Tarai for controlled year-round irrigation. In response, the government set up groundwater offices in different parts of the country. Pump sets were distributed free of cost to the groups that had already drilled the well. It was found that many households formed fake groups for the individual possession of the system. Some households obtained subsidies both on the drilling and on the equipment. Now that subsidy has been fully withdrawn as a loan condition of the Asian Development Bank, there is virtually no demand for shallow tube wells. To be blamed. An obvious question in everybody's mind would be, who is accountable for all these miscues? While the government should be responsible for this, the donors are also no less responsible in terms of imposing the terms, conditionalities, and the guidelines. In fact, there is donor involvement in most of the malfunctioning infrastructure in the country. Although a large sum of resources are wasted in the past due to various policy and institutional malicious and weaknesses, there are also several evidences to show that the selection of right institutions for project execution can even defy the policy odds and produce the edifices that deliver the results in a sustained manner at affordable cost. These provide us the ray of hope for future development. Let us revisit some of these brighter sides of the story that ought to be the appropriate development course for the future, hoping that the strengths of these institutions will not be demolished by the irrational interventions. Argali Irrigation Project. The first canal, known as Rajkulo or Jethikulo in Argali VDC of Palpa district, was constructed more than 400 years ago with support from the then king of Palpa, Mani Mukunda Sen. The source river is Kurunkhola. The system was later expanded with the addition of 3 new canals named at Mahili, Sahili and Kanchikulos. Prime Minister Juddha Samsher Rana also provided grant assistance for the rehabilitation of the system some 100 years ago. The system has year-round irrigation covering ward number 1, 3, 5, 7, 8 and 9. The total command area of the system is 96 hectares, serving 652 households. This traditional system is one of the best examples of a viable and well-functioning local community institution. The main features of the system operation are as follows. Democratically elected water users committee, formulation of an equitable constitution on a participatory basis, strict enforcement of the constitution by the executive committee, use of velocity-corrected wooden outlets for equitable water distribution, user contribution based on the area irrigated, existence of cash funds for maintenance collected from the users based on area irrigated, practice of rotational irrigation during months of water scarcity, provision of daily monitoring of canal and dam conditions by users on a rotational basis. The chairperson of the system talks about the working of the system since its formulation and says, this system was constructed with a self-engineering and indigenous knowledge of the people. Fund is raised from the users themselves for the maintenance of the system, depending on the size of the land holding. There are strict rules which every user has to abide by or face penalties. There is no discrimination against any user, so the system is running very smoothly. During 2038-39 Bikram Samvat, His Majesty's Government of Nepal gave us 4 lakh rupees for the maintenance of the system. But since they did not let us use the funds directly, we could not accomplish much rehabilitation work. They hired the contractor on their own, who did not do a good work despite our supervision. Bhorjava Second Community Irrigation Project, Sundarpur BDC, Moran District. This system, located in Ward number 4 of Sundarpur BDC of Moran District, was first constructed by a local landlord in 1958. He offered the system to be used by the neighboring farmers at a rental charge of 20 kg food grain per bigha per year. Later, the system was rehabilitated in 1968 by selling his land. The second rehabilitation was done after the implementation of SFDP by ADB Nepal with the assistance of IFAD. ADB Nepal provided technical support, whereas the farmers provided the unskilled labor during the construction of the canal. The system is in good condition and is functioning well. It is a very cost-efficient system, which shows that the irrigation does not necessarily have to be expensive. The cost per hectare of the system is only rupees 12,100. There is democratically formed users group and executive committee who have devised the operational rules and regulations which are agreeable to all the users. Penalty provisions are also strictly enforced. The WUC has sufficient cash balance for the operation and maintenance of the system. This system shows how the irrigation systems can run efficiently without any long-term liability to the government. Botighat Bridge. Botighat Bridge is being constructed by the users on Budi Rapti River. The bridge, with all-weather access, links Khum Road with Bocholi VDC of Chitwan district. The elated confidence of the local people after the successful completion of Hernari Bridge without any external support led them to initiate this huge task. They decided to construct the bridge by local fundraising, and the work is in progress. Construction of the piers and abutment is complete, but beam and slab casting remained incomplete as they lacked adequate funds. However, no one can deny that it is a Herculean task for the community people who dared to embrace such challenge of executing such a huge project without any external support. The people engaged in this endeavor have already made wise use of locally collected 616,000 rupees in the construction work. A technician estimated that it would require another 1.4 million rupees to complete the work as per the design, but the local people feel that they can do so with only half that amount. This is a rare type of huge construction work initiated by CBO in Nepal without external funding and the technical support. The team learned from the observation that if the community people are provided with the proper technology, the bridge like this could be built in a cost-effective way with no quality compromise as compared to high-cost bridges that the government builds. IDE Treadle Pump. The treadle pumps are massively promoted in many districts of eastern and central development regions. Rangapur Dinajpur Rural Service RDRS, an NGO in Bangladesh, developed this pump in 1980, which came to Nepal few years after. This technology is very cheap and thus highly suitable for the poor farmers with a very small land holdings. Many poor farmers with around 0.1 hectare land have benefited from the vegetable cultivation using the treadle pumps. IDE and INGO has been promoting the technology by helping the farmers as well as the manufacturers for the use and fabrication of rower pumps, treadle pumps, for irrigation and drinking water purposes in Tarai. ADB Nepal also provides loans for installation of treadle pumps. The pump is mostly sold in cash since the cost is only rupees 1,300. The parts are easily available in the local market as they are all made by local manufacturers. The manual pumps are virtually maintenance-free. The farmers find no difficulties in replacing or repairing few small problems such as the changing of the valves. An estimated 13,280 such pumps have been already sold to the local dealers, which has helped irrigate more than 1,300 hectares. The per hectare cost of the system is calculated at 14,600 rupees. It is an irony that while rich-friendly large irrigation systems continue to enjoy heavy subsidy, there is no government subsidy for such a poor-friendly technology. Is this compatible with the poverty alleviation objective of the 9th plan? Sora Moja Irrigation System. This stream, located 23 kilometers towards the north of Bhairava in Rupandehi district, was initiated and constructed by the farmers. Users group who was formed under the initiation of the farmers in 1962 and was managed with verbal understanding without any written rules. The regulation of SNIC was first devised and approved in 1992 and later amended in 1995. It was formally registered in Anandaban Madhuvan Canal Committee, AMCC, at the Office of Chief District Officer Bhairava in 1996. It is designed for year-round irrigation and it covers the total command area of 2,000 hectares. Presently, it provides irrigation to 33 villages of Butwal municipality, Ward number 2. A total of 9,500 households are benefiting from the system. The only outside support for such a big scheme was 25,000 rupees provided for the rehabilitation of the canal by UNDP and rupees 100,000 worth of a gabion wire provided by DDC. The community itself is operating and maintaining the system. Though the system is well constructed, problems like inadequacy of water during winter season and deepening of river bed level every year creates difficulty in diverting the water to the intake. Hence, most of the resources and the labor have to be spent on a temporary intake at the Tinau River. They have been desperately searching for the external support to build a weir in Tinau so that the internally generated resources can be used for other maintenance work. But such help is forthcoming from nowhere. The users frustratingly point to the wastage of resources in other public systems while they cannot find even a small amount for such a traditionally running huge system. The community members express themselves and say, "We have full faith over the system and on our irrigation organization. We don't raise regular funds for O&M, but impose a penalty for the violation of regulations. We have high mutual trust and our involvement in the maintenance work has all the more strengthened it. The only problem is the non-participation of the users in the tail end because they have been bestowed with another source of irrigation from the BLGWP deep tube wells. They blame the project for trying to distort their well-functioning organization." Takarvita. This project was established in 1985 by United Kingdom government at the cost of 14 million rupees. This project is technically sound. The democratically formed users institution is efficiently running the system. An efficient institution is always looking forward to diversify and expand its operation. This institution has also expanded its operation in areas like the collection of municipality garbage, distribution of low-cost latrines, and provision of the management training to similar organizations. These additional operations have not only enhanced the credibility of the institution, but also generated enough resources for the expansion of the system. The rules and regulations set by the committee is efficiently implemented. Users say, though the project cost is high, but we are much satisfied with the system for its good service. The secretary of the Users Committee said, "We have 14 staff members who are responsible for the operation and maintenance of the project. There is total transparency of the accounts. The community has very high level of trust and reciprocity. All the community members participate to elect the executive committee. One person reveals that the interest and participation in the executive committee selection is more than that in the local political election. The committee has planned for system expansion for which they have 1.2 million rupees in their account. Every year, surplus is generated from the tariff. These should provide some lessons for the planners and policy makers who are sincerely committed to the development of Nepal.